one of the things that James spoke about is sort of like the need to like upskill many of these engineers that are interested in starting to play with LLMs and with agents and with AI. One thing that I had seen in a bunch of different startups is that they then figure out, okay, well, the first thing I got to do is learn Python. Because there aren't sufficient frameworks to be working in JavaScript or TypeScript or wherever else they happen to be. Next up, we have Daryl. Daryl, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we
Hi,
can hear you
everyone.
good.
Hi, Adam.
I have a feeling that you're trying to address this problem that I had just spoken about.
Yeah, we have been
And
trying to. I'm trying hard.
you've been trying hard. We're very excited
Yeah.
to hear what your attempts have resulted in thus far. I will come back in 20 minutes with some questions from the audience. Until then, take it away.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Hi, Adam. I'm very pleased to be here. The conference has been great so far. Amazing speakers, amazing talk so far. In this one, we will talk about how to create a multi-agent systems in JavaScript. Yes, Adam was right. So there is a huge need for like AI tooling for JavaScript developers, and we were trying to solve that. So to start, like a bit about myself, I've been a front-end engineer since the jQuery days, and I also been lucky to work in some like cool projects like an open source library that got some love from the community back in 2014. Then I worked at and lead the creation of the first micro-frontend platform for the travel industry, which is used for big airlines like United, American, all those guys. And also like 2 years ago, helped to architect an AI agent that we call it that way, like for a video generator. So I'm passionate about JavaScript, and since the early days of AI, we were struggling to trying to find like the tools that work in the JavaScript language with AI, and from struggling, like we try to create and solve Kaiban. So in today's presentation, like we're gonna talk about a bit about why AI agents for JavaScript. We wanna see like a few like frameworks on the current landscape. We will talk a bit about Kaiban, and we will do all that through a real world example. So first, like why AI agents for JavaScript? First of all, like JavaScript have a huge developer base, just surpassed by Python this year on GitHub, but still like JavaScript and TypeScript are the second and third most active community on GitHub. JavaScript has also like a lot of enterprise adoption, like it's trusted by many companies like Netflix, PayPal, Google, all those guys. Another cool stuff about JavaScript too is that it's very cost effective. So if you play smart and make some of the processing in a browser, right, you are shifting the cost from doing all those processing in the server. And now with the smaller models working on the browser level, that Gemma model on Google, and I think that I have seen how this trend is accelerating with the time. And if you are able to like uh, compartmentalize your application in small pieces and make some of them run in the front end. So you're gonna save a huge cost if you have a large user base. Another cool like property of JavaScript is ubiquity. So you have JavaScript everywhere in browsers, servers, LLOT, and other devices. So that four properties makes JavaScript like a very good language to explore, to like try to create agents using it. So here are like some of the frameworks that you can use today to create multi-AI agents in JavaScript. In one side, you have LangChain, Vercel, and Llama Index. Those started with the first wave of the AI frameworks, and they try to cover a lot of use cases. So they have been like adding agentic capabilities as soon as they are released. Uh, and then in other part, you have other frameworks like LangGraph that let you create fine-tuned agents. So, but LangGraph, it's very low code. Yes, so that's why we try to solve all those problems like creating Kaiban. So we try to create a multi-agent framework just with just a focus on multi-agent work. And we tried the API to be really simple to use, because like one pattern found in the JavaScript community. They are not super aware about LLMs, about AI. So we try to make it super simple to understand. So we also try to create like visual and interactive tooling so people can debug the agent not in black terminals, but they have like a proper UI to see the agents, and that's what we call the Kaiban board. The Kaiban board is like a Kanban view when you can see your agents like moving cars. Like this is a really cool UI to see the agents working. And another thing we try to push since the very beginning was like trying to making Kaiban work in the browser as well as in the server. So right now, instead of me going through every KaibanJS feature, let's do like this real example. So meet this guy, John. Yeah, John is another tech lead, just like any of us, that he's trying to automate whatever boring part of his job it is. And let's say that John's work in this cool dashboard, like every day, like triaging tickets. So people open tickets and John's team have to go through every ticket, running like a triage process. He have to go and do an initial assessment, then he does an issue analysis, then he find out in GitHub the related issues and try to correlate all that information. So after attending to this beautiful conference, like John has an idea. Hey, let's create a bunch of agents, one for each part of the journey. So everything was nice. And he was almost doing a party, but then he realized that sometimes it's not just about the implementation. When you work in a big company, on a big corporate, you have to navigate the corporate rabbit hole. Like the systems are distributed sometimes across many teams, and he have to get like buyout from key stakeholders and all of that. So John is thinking about how can he effectively navigate that rabbit hole and have the results he wants. So luckily for him, he was in this talk and he knew about Kaiban. Kaiban will allow John to just with these two files that I'm going to show you more in detail, have this component here in the front end and create like the agents he wants to quickly have a prototype, a show in the next meeting. Instead of he running through everyone asking for like things he need, he can provide them with a real prototype and he can build it really quick in the front end. So here, like, let's go through the first file is when you define the agents. I'm pretty sure you are very familiar with this type of like API, like the agents API, like Crew AI, Swarm from OpenAI too. When you define the agents, the tasks, and the team, you create all of them, you put them together in a team. So this is the main primitive that the KaibanJS framework have. Like you have agents, the agents have tools, and the agent does perform tasks, and the tasks and agents and tools are orchestrated through a team. So let's take a look at the component, like the front end component that he will use. As you see, this is like another React component, and here are the main parts. So he will use a store because KaibanJS provide all the state of the agents in a global store that you can plug in your application and have access to everything that the agent is doing in real time. The tool he's using, the amount of tokens that he's using, or if he's getting some errors, how many agentic cycles he completes and all that. So, and to represent the work, you see here on this component, when he have the list of tasks, and he's just like representing the state, like really easy and quick. Yes, John is happy again because he have a prototype working really quick. We have no like driving the maze, and he can show it to his coworkers, and then from there move on with the working team. So, what does this mean to you? And what's the like? I mean, the take from this like example is that you can quickly create prototypes, MVPs, even working projects, just like in JavaScript with the JavaScript stack you have. So Kaiban is not just about this use case. We have many others, like in the website, the classic ones, like the trip planning team. You have also the ones for the sport news, the trip planning, and it have an agent, and that is capable of doing all the agentic work, like using memory, is built on top of LangChain.js. So if there is something that KaibanJS doesn't cover, there's always the possibility that you can use all the big ecosystem that LangChain.js supports. So with that said, a, a pretty cool, I would say, conclusion that you can take from here is that most of the times you guys have dozens of interfaces built already, and there are a bunch of JavaScript developers already working in the front end, working in the back end, and you can use those resources. You just have to give them the tools they need to also participate in the AI revolution. So you can scale all that workforce just by giving access, giving them the access to the right tools. So I think I went super fast. I was trying to watch this clock. So I'm pretty I'm gonna be here if you have any questions. I tried to went super fast.
You did go
But
fast.
yeah.
Thank you very much, Dario. Let's see if we have any questions up. I'm gonna put up the ticker. So far, none yet. I have a question for you. Can you go back to the use cases then?
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those? So let's say the AI agents for trip planning. What gave them? What motivated them to write this in JavaScript in the first place? Is it about the lack of availability of other engineers, or the fact that they already have those engineers on hand and then they wanted to
Yeah. It's, I would say this is a combination of two things, right? So when you see the amount of developers out there, and use it in big companies, you're gonna see JavaScript developers and you're gonna see Python developers, but there are a lot of JavaScript developers out there already working in companies, but because they don't have the right tools to work in. So companies have to hire people from outside. And also, when you have in an enterprise a given stack, adding a new server, adding new infrastructure, sometimes it's painful, right? So there is a combination of this factor, the human factor, and also the combination that with JavaScript you can touch many other surfaces. Like for example, you can have your agents working in the browser if they are not doing a critical and power consuming thing, or you can even split it up, your team of agents. You have one agent in the browser just getting the user data and then send it out to another agent in the backend that is handling the heavy lifting, then send it back to the browser. And if you split it out, all that processing, at the end of the day, gonna cost less for the company if you have a huge volume,
Can I ask, is your background, and you might have addressed this already, primarily in front end or back end? Like, how did you pick up? I remember you saying jQuery, did you start in front end and then gradually start doing Node.js and stuff like?
Yeah. I originally studied computer science 15 years ago, and we were doing C++ and all that. But when I learned that you had the ability to share your work through an URL like this one, it was like a magical moment for me. So for now on, for that moment on, I switch up and I learned PHP, JavaScript, and I've been in love with that stack since those days.
Yeah.
That I've been just working in the JavaScript stack for the last, I'd say 12, 13 years or so. Yeah.
Do you have, and I know that some people have been speaking about this, though I haven't quite dug in very deeply. Do you have a sense of what would happen to front-end frameworks and to front-end engineering now that you have a whole generation of developers that, let's say, will adopt more agentic frameworks and LLMs?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the other day, actually for this presentation, I did the mock-ups from the UI that John was using, using V0, V0 no Ball new, and in just about 30 minutes. And yes, I will say that it will change. Not that the job will disappear, but there are gonna be less people working, because like before doing an interface like that, it took like a team of 3 people working for a month, and you don't even get the result that you wanted. So I will say that that will help to get the ideas, what the people really want into production. And eventually these roles are gonna be are gonna like shift to, instead of writing the code, just like you redirecting the agents to help you out, so that's why it's important, like as companies, if you have like front-end developers or people that their jobs are gonna have to shift in some way, if you put them to work with the AI tool, you are reusing the same people that are working in one place. You are using them to produce in other places that there are more demands right now.
Do you have some? I mean, I suspect that there might also be some forms of resistance at the organizational level about, they're already thinking about their, let's say, front-end engineers, or the front-end engineers ones that are building any AI systems, and there's going to be some kind of like paradigmatic shift, it feels, where managers and product managers will start to think that maybe it's okay to let one of these engineers who's primarily doing front end or back end to begin to build out AI features. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for JavaScript software developers to show up to the product managers or to the rest of their organization and tell them that it's okay to allow them to do this sort of thing? Because it feels like sometimes they might need some form of like explicit or implicit or cultural kind of permission.
No, yeah, I've seen that kind of resistance, and what I think is happening is like people keep thinking that AI is still the same AI that it was before, when you have to fine tune the model yourself, you have to train the model, and you have to know neural networks and all that. But after ChatGPT and all these like cool models from OpenAI and then Anthropic and all the state of the art, things have shifted. So instead of you having a deep knowledge of how the models work, so what you need to do is like learn about the APIs and learn what other people are doing. So for example, 2 years ago we made like and I mentioned it because like internally we have like big discussions about like, should we fine tune this model? That it was a model for video creation.
Yeah.
So we took an input from a user and created JSON that described a video. So we had these discussions if we have to fine tune the models, or we just have prompt engineer a way for the LLMs, like the big ones, like giving us the results that we want. And at the end of the day, we ended up using the LLM. That's it. We have any fine tuning, and we were just like 4 or 5 JavaScript developers.
Yeah.
We know AI previous knowledge, and we will be able to figure out how to create the thing that we wanted, and most importantly, the thing that our users wanted. Because one thing is what is in the head of an engineer, of and one thing is what is in the head of your users. And sometimes people get crazy and create this all like big architectures with redundancies and backups and all that. And at the end of the day, the final word, it have it, the user
Yeah.
is the one that have it. So that's why we also like create Kaiban, like to let all the developers in JavaScript just go out and experiment with AI. And it is funny because people start using it in a very simple way, and they do like very simple stuff, but they use it as a starting lesson to then start going deep into the rabbit hole. Like at the end of the day, you will ended up using like a very complex architecture. But in this stage that a lot of companies are doing MVPs, POCs, and all that, what you need is most of the time tools that allow you to quickly create stuff and show it there and get feedback refined. And then with data, you are able to create a more robust solution.
There's something similar that I'd thought about at one point, which was like the tension between AI and machine learning. And I feel like a lot of people still kind of maintain that conception that like you're to do AI, you're doing machine learning, but that's no longer really the case. You could be
Yeah.
playing with AI and know nothing about machine learning, and I would probably argue
No,
that
yeah.
most people who do play with AI right now know nothing about machine learning, and that's okay
No,
because
yeah.
they've
I
abstracted
always
it
do.
sufficiently. So you just have to still you still need some paradigm of testing and evaluation and training and data and all these different things. So some concepts do carry over, but nevertheless, it feels like a slightly different discipline at this point.
No, yeah, exactly. That one word is the AI research, or if you're creating a framework, all that, and another word is integrating it in the real life. And for that, you don't need what I would say you need is like the will to do it,
Hmm.
and just go for it. Go to every Reddit, go to every Slack, every Discord, and you will learn a lot. There is a lot of conversations happening in Next, on Reddit, in Slack. You put it out there, you test it. You have to be responsible, of course. You are not gonna put like any like thing that have security issues or anything like that out there. But as soon as you are responsible and you own the actions that you are doing, just like try an experiment and learn. That will give you like amazing results.
We have one last question here from the chat. Uh, Tamer is asking, do you think that it is possible to create a complete backend of a product just by using AI agents? So not like developing the code, but more like that agents are going to put things into the database, create responses that will be rendered in the backend, etc. Can I add a spin to this question, which is, would front-end engineers be able to interface with agents instead of interfacing with a like a backend? And perhaps the agents themselves then do the kind of work of building up the backend, but really it is driven by front-end concerns.
I would say like um, the way things are moving, it seems to be that that will be the case, because like we as humans have now the ability to like create things instead of reusing stuff, just creating things in the spot, like generating
Mm.
things. So, and that will happen in the front end too. So why not? It's gonna happen in the back end. When you will just generate on demand. That, let's say you are asking a query, and that's actually a very good, like I would say, like a very good product. I haven't seen it yet. That when you ask a query, just like a GraphQL query, and then the backend build itself, the API build itself. I think if you do like the right guardrails, it could be something really interesting, because you don't need to create like these huge API contracts anymore when you have to learn all the API documentation, or don't. You just teach an agent how to work with your schema, and then you let it go. And the APIs are gonna be like, I know a lot of guys are gonna be super grateful for a product like that. Yeah.
Daniel, thank you very much for coming and sharing with us. Best of luck to you and to Kaiban. Uh, next,
Thank you, Adam. And thank you, everyone.
thank you.